Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. I was actually the second choice for moderating, so even better. So let us start. So all of you have been pioneers in either the D2C or the logistics space, and that is the reason you would make the best panel to discuss this topic. So, Soumya, we'll start with you. You were one of the pioneers, one of the earliest people to even think of a D2C brand. And I can't even imagine what logistics would have been in 2012, I think, when you started. So could you give us a sense of like what challenges you faced when you were scaling the brand, when you started the brand? Give us a little bit of context there.
Okay, so yes, you're right. We're almost dinosaurs when it comes to, when we started. And frankly, logistics didn't exist back then. We just had Blue Dart, we had DTDC, we could barely service pin codes. It used to take anywhere between 3 to 5 days in delivery, which is almost unthinkable today. And as the industry has progressed, the customer has demanded now the 10-minute delivery, but even 6 months ago, at least 24-hour delivery. So we've seen a sea change in logistics uh, as a enabler for D2C brands like us. It's because of good logistics company that came on board that we were able to reach the customer faster, collect their feedback faster, and grow faster.
Right. Got it. So, could you help us? Like, so I kind of look at this space as pre-ship rocket and post-ship rocket. Okay. So, who did you go with? Like, any example that you could give of a logistics player who played a role?
So we've never really gone with we've always directly worked with logistics companies. So is Shiprocket a sponsor here?
Who?
Is Shiprocket
No,
a
no,
sponsor
no.
here? Okay.
No, it's not.
All right. So we used to, we work very closely with people like Express Bees, Sharofax. They've been our sort of torch holders that they lead the way for everyone else. And today we service, I think, 26,000 pin codes or something like that. And of course, Clovia gets orders from across the country, and our average SLA is 1.98 days, which is excellent, really. Because if you're able to reach a customer as far as Northeast or Chennai in that much time, it's an excellent partnership.
Thank you, Soumya. Bhisham, you decided to obviously build in a space which is men's grooming. I think it is one of the toughest spaces ever. And it is also based a lot on convenience where, I think when you started building, it was just people going to a convenience store and buying these products, right? And that obviously, you had to compete with that. So could you give a sense of how you were able to do that, especially in this category?
Hi everyone. It's still men don't use men grooming products. As we are in 2025 also, most of us use the products which are there in the bathroom, which either mother, sister, partner, wife, whosoever is getting. So it is a big challenge, and it was a bigger challenge way back when we started in 2015. And that time, I remember when we were doing a market survey, so we spoke to a couple of friends across all stratas. So I asked one of my friends, like, which face wash do you use? He said, driver को पैसे दे देता हूँ, जो ले आता है वो use कर लेता हूँ. And this is a very mature Delhi guy, metro guy. So that was a challenge, but yes, because we were always making an aspirational brand, and aspirational brand was not available around the corner in the Kirana store or the supermarket. So that gave us a lot of headroom where people, because we always focus on building an aspirational brand, and then people used to buy from our site. Rather, for first 2 years of our journey, though Flipkart and Amazon were there, but we were not selling on them. We were selling on our website. It was post demonetization, we started selling on the marketplaces.
I have a follow-up question here.
Yeah.
Considering that you said that the decision maker for men's grooming is largely women in the household, when you were building the brand, were you marketing more towards women as a gender to cater to the men in their household, or were you appealing to men to change their habits?
We were always targeting men to change the habit. Women we used to target on the around the gifting days, Raksha Bandhan, Valentine's Day, Father's Day. These were the, and still these are the days where all our sales, like bigger gifts, like I would say like Valentine's is coming, so first 12, like from first till 12th, all sales will be women.
I think you take away half the Secret Santa's share
Yeah,
every
yeah,
Christmas.
Secret Santa is like for the past 5 years, Secret Santa is another event where we are piggy banking.
Got it.
But Secret Santa is quick commerce.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers 1 day or 2 days in advance, so
Yes. Thanks, Bhisham. Raj, we come to you now. So you've been in this industry for a long time, and your company has been there for an even longer time. So I wanted to understand what is that switch or a pivot that you had to make to cater to D2C as an emerging sector or even e-commerce? So could you throw some light on that for us?
Sure, thanks. So if Soumya says that she already thinks she is the dinosaur, I don't know what we will call ourselves. We are only 65 years old as a company. But just quick to set the context so that, a lot of new age companies will not know what TCI does in this space. So TCI is a legacy company into logistics, 3PL, warehousing, transportation, multimodal. It's a listed entity, so you can look up at the stock exchange. It handles around 2% of India's GDP by value of cargo. So if India's GDP is around 4.27 trillion, the math is out there. So we have a pretty large network which handles more than $110 billion of GMV through the network, which is more than 1,500 offices, plenty of trucks, ships, trains, you name it, warehousing, everything. So when we started, there was a phase, and typically, historically, in terms of the change, it was a 10-year change in the logistics as a support to the brands. So the decade between 2000 to 2010, if somebody remembers, it was a decade of SAP coming into the system, and people started adopting SAP, and demand was pretty much well known. There was single or couple of channels. 2010 onwards, till good up to the pandemic, you started talking about a WMS as a front end. You started talking about RFID and barcode, and you looked at multiple channels. You started using the words such as modern retail. You said, company-owned warehouse stores. So you, as a service provider, we started looking at that. Circa 2024-25, things have changed. So one of the biggest challenges for us as a company is how do we be relevant? How do we not be denoted as a dinosaur who is eventually going to be extinct? The change was we chose those things where eventually as a listed company, we believe that we have to make money. As a company, we don't get funded by private equity. I'm sorry, the guys who were before. We do business for profits. We are a debt-free company today on all counts, and we give very high returns to the stakeholders. We always felt we have to build the community system. So what we did, we now work with all the new age e-commerce, D2C brands, and quick commerce companies, but we don't do last mile. We do up to fulfillment centers, we do pick pack, we deliver up to dark stores or pods, but we will not do delivery to the consumer. So we have come till the last but one in the entire chain, and that transition we have made, and the journey is still on, because the learning is so quick that it takes time to catch up. But this is just to give you a flavor of the way the transition for a legacy company has happened. We don't talk much about it. It's always under wraps, being a listed entity. But we pretty much do what all the current brands also want as far as legacy companies are concerned, because we're able to give trust and continuity of services. So that's what to begin with.
Got it. This is to the audience. Guys, if you have a question, we are ready to take 2 questions right now, and then we'll move to our next track. So, anyone?
While you are thinking of questions, I have a question. Why did you choose not to do the last mile for D2C and only till fulfillment centers?
Sure, thanks, Soumya. So one of the key reason was by the time we started understanding, there were companies who had a head start and they were funded by very aggressive investors. Uh, when you are coming as a legacy company, one of the key culture is that you can't lose money even on an Excel sheet. So as ethos, as a company, we don't know what is a loss. So we are not trained to say to a board that can make a loss and we're making an investment for the future. So culturally we are built that way, so you don't change a culture. As they say, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And that culture brought us to a level where we are. We are one of the leaders in the logistics space in the country. So we had to take a pivot. The pivot was primarily to see where our culture fits best and where brands look for what you call as dependability. End of the day, demand fulfillment is one of the toughest aspects still, besides the last mile is of course the most difficult, but demand fulfillment is what we thought our knowledge will enable us to transcend the change and come and service a D2C or a quick commerce or e-commerce. So that's the way we looked at.
Anyone with questions? Can't see you. Can someone get a mic, or can you guys hear? Like you can speak. Who wanted to ask? Oh. Okay, guys, we are moving forward then. All right. Okay. This is for both Soumya and Bhisham. So this is, so this track is, we are going to cover a little bit, we'll try and dabble in a little bit of government and policy and how you guys were able to navigate any challenges, right? So the first thing I want to check is, were there any regulatory challenges that you faced as you built your business along the way? Something to do with the standards, Bureau of Indian Standards, anything, or GST, any regulatory challenges, and was it easy for you to overcome? How do you do it now? Could you give?
I think we continue to face the inverse tax credit. So our output GST is at 5%, while obviously all services are at 18%. So we have a huge bit of working capital blocked with the GST input credit, and it continues to be a problem. But that's true for just about any apparel business in India today. And we're hoping that at some point government will look our way and make it easy. Other than that, in terms of our journey, I think demonetization is one thing that hit everyone across the board. Suppliers didn't want to give fabric, factories didn't want to do job work, and so on. But I think as a country, we are agile. And anything that hits in terms of regulatory framework, the country is able to adapt and move forward in less than 15 days. And I think the entire industry moved forward. Thankfully, Paytm came and saved the day, sort of. And we've been, it hasn't been, and I think for D2C, it's not so difficult when it comes to regulatory frameworks. Other than GST laws, I don't know what else hits us that bad.
And that GST is hitting the apparel guys. For me, 18% everywhere. So what problem they face, we don't have.
Right.
All our services, everything is at 18% input, and output is also 18%.
Got it.
So that way, I don't think so there is any kind of regulatory problem. But as an industry, we have a peculiar problem, like we sell a lot of perfumes, which has alcohol, and we can't airship.
Okay.
So that's a very big challenge when you say 10 minutes or something, 24 hours. For me, we were doing, but now everyone is pretty strict. So as a logistics player or anyone, be it train, air, we can only send through surface. So that's a bigger challenge for us. But yes, we have adapted it. Customers have adapted it. And the other question you said, when like demonetization happened or any of these things happen, our customers also adapt to our problems. So they understand like I can't send something in Mumbai in 24 hours. So I have to take the surface route, and we have to write on our website 2 days, 3 days, whatever time it takes. So that way, that's a challenge in our industry.
No, that's true actually. So one of our biggest, so when I was running a small D2C brand as well, a major demand came from the Northeast because they had never heard of coconut oil that we were selling. So, and shipping to them took like 2 weeks sometimes, but they were very happy with it. They were like, we will wait for the product because otherwise there is no way I can get it.
Yeah.
So that's
So all the places tier, we are like very anxious when it comes to deliveries and all. But ask someone in tier 2 and tier 3 towns, उनको मिल रहा है, they are more than happy कि मिल रहा है.
मिल रहा है.
It is reaching, that's it. So that's our anxiety.
Right. Coming back to Raj, sir, I wanted to check with you regarding a government intervention, like as in, do you see any infrastructure gaps that we currently have, and are we bridging them in the right way with regard to your sector?
So as we say, we can always blame someone, but if you really see, the government is doing enough, lots happening on road, rail, sea, whichever area of network, even air. And the way we do quick commerce or D2C, I think in the world we are among the top 3 markets in terms of the innovations coming across, founders out here, the way they have come up. So we are in a very good, I will say, sweet spot. Whatever we do, it keeps our jobs, it keeps us relevant actually. So let's have some challenges. The whole point is how do you address them? So you were discussing about Northeast. If you go to any conventional brand, successful brand, FMCG, they would have a warehouse in Guwahati. No, you need to have that. You cannot say that I don't have a flight to Northeast. No, Northeast itself has been developed the last 5-10 years. So there's no point in complaining when you know the situation. How do you address the situation? Do you create inventory spots? How do you manage your inventory accordingly? Now it's being done. So if you see automobiles, if you see any other, what you call as FMCG, it's beautifully distributed right up to Agartala. So there's no issue per se. It's the way you wish to address and the people you connect to develop these solutions. So that's critical as far as we believe. I don't see any challenge. It's a beautiful journey ahead.
Got it. Thank you. Guys, by the way, anyone can interrupt if you guys have any questions in between, by the way. Okay. Let's come back to, I think, Bhisham. Okay. This is also a question that I had, which is already here. So I wanted to understand for the few, so I've always seen that D2C brands generally, they kind of peak at, let's say, a 10 crore a month, revenue, right? So is the way forward only for a D2C brand to go omni-channel or cross-border? Like, what is it to break that and go above?
So first of all, I would say in our journey, every milestone, suppose when we reach milestone 1 crore, we were there at 1 crore for a couple of months.
Right.
Because you don't get growth levers every month. So then there was a journey of 3 months, we are just 1 crore, 1.1, somewhere 90 lakhs, somewhere there. So I would say it's not 10 crores, it's every milestone. Now I'm at 20 crores, again there will be some problem. There will be some growth lever we need. So it's not that 10 crore or 5 crore depending on the market you are catering, depending on, but you have to find growth levers. It could be a new product category, it could be a new channel like quick commerce is now, it could be a new cross-border, all like D2C brands in personal care are targeting international markets because international ecosystem, logistics, etc. is much easier what we used to do. I am doing international selling on Amazon.com since 2017. That time we used to use a couple of modes, and in US I remember Texas and all used to take 3-4 weeks.
Okay.
To reach 3 weeks. So from India to New York, it was in our control by air, etc. But from there, from New York to Texas or some remote location, used to take 2 weeks. So every like milestone, there'll be a stagnancy, and you have to find your own way. There is no formula. There's nothing, no cross border, nothing. You have to find your own way. I'm sure you must have felt the
And
same.
you know, when you set out to build a brand, you don't build a brand for a specific channel. You don't build a brand that, oh, I'm only going to sell via my website, and my brand is only going to be my website. That's not how, you know, you build a company really. And when you're thinking of a product, when you're thinking of a brand, you want to be everywhere your customer is. So if your customer wants to come to your website, to marketplaces, to quick commerce, to trade, to modern retail, anywhere and everywhere, you want to be at every touch point where your target audience is. And I think you started with that people stagnate at 10 crore a month. That's that happens only if they've not already started to replicate their channels, or they've put all their eggs in just one basket, which is their own website or just marketplaces. While as a brand, you have to, I understand that you never have the funds to reach out to everyone at all at the same time. But you see the signs. You absolutely know that when you've hit the 5 crore mark on website, you can start building marketplaces as a channel to start adding to that revenue.
Got it. Very interesting. Now that brings me to my next question to both of you, which is, have you used, like, I mean, I'm sure it is much more relevant now, which is, do you use any predictive analytics to foresee demand for a particular product line, etc., so that you manage working capital better, or like how has it been now?
You want to take that first? Okay.
You take.
So at Clovia, because like you said that we're very old in the business, tech tools didn't exist back then. And Clovia is not a bra company, it's a tech company. So in our category, the MOQs that you go to any manufacturer are 3,000 pieces per style per color. When we were starting out, obviously the working capital was limited, and if we were to make 3,000 pieces, we'd be dead back then itself. So we created an in-house technology, which we call requirement simulator. What it does is that we only manufacture 250 pieces, 300 pieces of a product back then. Today we do 1,000 piece or a 2,000 piece batch, but back then we only manufactured 250, 300 pieces per product. We reached out to the customer really fast, collected feedback, and today, 140 million data points are churned every night to tell us which fit is working, what colors are working, which size ratio to follow, what to make, what more to make, what to now discard, and how to move forward. And that's why in Clovia's journey, we were very nimble. We worked on just 60 days of inventory. Even today, when we are at a 500 crore ARR, we're still at 90 days inventory.
Okay, that is pretty awesome for a clothes brand, I know. So yes, would you like to add?
Okay, so our is not such a complex thing because they have sizes, fits, colors, and
Right.
so many things. But yes, when we started again, there was no tech tool, no predictive tools. So we have our own in-house products. We are, I keep evaluating these predictive tools, but I have never found the one so far. And I think the problem is the biggest problem is because we have multiple sources of data. To get data in one place is a bigger challenge.
Got it.
So that is why we have our own in-house tools which are working fine. I'll not say they are the best tools available. Like she said, she's working on 60 days, 90 days. Probably there are ways to reduce it further. There's always a scope for us also. I work on around 75 to 90 days inventory depending on the season where I am. But there are ways to reduce the inventory. But yeah, things are working fine with our in-house tools, what we are doing right now.
Got it. Thank you, Bhisham. Raj, coming back to you, this is a question with regard to profitability, as you mentioned, is very key for you. So, one thing is, from what I've read, logistics cost is still very high in India, but at the same time, you know, you also need to deliver fast, be efficient. So is the future electric? Is it more tech which will reduce costs? How do you plan to cater to this future?
Sure. So there are multiple points here. First, let's look at the demand side, which they were saying. So one of the biggest challenges we have is because of the omni-channel is at the back end, how do you fulfill the demand? I'll give you a data point. Will not name anybody, but we started with an e-com company which has got 1,000 people in that warehouse. It's in Calcutta. So you can imagine Calcutta, 1,000 people. The warehouse was designed for 57,000 orders per day, 2 shifts, and one order is 2.2 units. So that's the warehouse design. It's completely compliant, state of the art, everything. Now when you have these big promotion days, the warehouse capacity per day now goes to 1.5 lakh orders a day, and that unit size also might go to 2.5, 2.6. Now you cannot carry the fixed cost. But if the LSP, the service provider, in this case WSP, doesn't deliver, the founders are going to say you're not good. Now you tell, how does somebody plan a 2x or a 3x without having people on board and being compliant, because you need to take care of every employee's PF, insurance, health. They need to be trained, but the window is only a week. This is the challenge what the entire logistics industry is facing at the back end, because I am ready to put no D2C, no quick commerce will know how to predict demand even if you use a tool. Because the way the consumer behaves, nobody is able to predict so accurately. No algorithm is learning so fast because of the switch. And that's the reason. The old age story you would know. So there was a brand being sold in Patna. I again would not like to name the brand. And it was a medical brand. It was a OTC. And people thought that there were a lot of ailments and that's why that branding is being sold. Very strangely, that was being used as a bread spread in BR. Now how do you catch these nuances? So the biggest challenge we face as a service provider is to be in their shoes and keep on servicing the demand. And the only way is if any brand, quick commerce or any platform, today's gen, is bringing this as a boardroom topic, where when you are having your strategic meet, do you have your service providers, do you wish to outsource, do you wish to have the tech guy all together? The answer is no currently. It is always a fallback because you are yourself reacting to the surge in demand, a new marketplace or a new infra piece. So the biggest challenge we are facing across to servicing omni-channel retail is this area. How do you look at demand? And I believe that's going to remain full forever because of the nature of the consumer, and it will make or break a brand. So the people who are able to fix demand and service it is the game. And thus whether it's 90 days or whether it's 60 days, that's where the game is, because you don't want to lose a sale. So this is the transition we are trying to do. It's tough because our guys don't sleep. They are there 24 by hours. You know, we are cutting vegetables. We are sending across coriander. Suddenly, there's a demand for chili. So the entire batch is changed. You're putting chili on the tables. It's tough. And then there is FSSAI. You say, how are you taking care of it? So this transition is happening. We are liking it, but that's a challenge. On the transition to sustainability, we are one of the pioneers. We run around 3,500 CNG trucks. We run electric trucks. We are now launching LNG trucks. We have warehouses with close to 600 kilowatt of solar power running all the auxiliary loads. But it will take at least a decade and 15 years to say that 10 to 15% of our logistics fleet is going to be electric or alternate fuel. The word here is alternate fuel. Don't get swayed by pure electric. While it's the best way to reduce carbon emissions, the capex investment is pretty high. It's 4 times the cost of a normal truck for electric, 2.5 times for LNG, and might be 1.2, 1.3 times for a CNG. So it's very difficult if you're going to look at the overall cost also to go to fully electric. But the journey is on, and we request that everybody also joins the bandwagon as a pilot and slowly moves across, because at the end of the day, we have to service the customer at least cost. So these are the 2 points which you asked. hopefully.
Yeah.
Are you also moving to automated warehouses, fully automated?
So automated warehouses, yes, to answer first specifically, but primarily for automation, what we believe is that you should have a high volume, and typically a mother DC will only suffice that. For example, for garments, since you both are there, we do manage a ASRS, which is automated storage and retrieval system for returns, RTO. Because RTO is a big out of the end of the season. We have pretty large automated warehouse for that, because you want to break bulk it, you have to put it away, you have to pack it again as a fresh too for the other markets. So their automation does. So the industries where automation is, you know, the personal care products, where you have 10,000 shades, we have bots carrying the shelf to the man. The bot tells you what lipstick to pick. The lipstick is put in the tray, and then the shipment goes. Because of the complexity. So automation equal to reduction of complexity. So if that formula fits in, your cost viability comes in. But else automation in India is
Not viable.
not viable at all, because your head load, your palletization still takes care of what we call as cost. So there's a lot of debate on what's the real logistics cost, but automation is, I feel whenever there's complexity, you're going to get automation.
One question.
Yeah.
With automation, are you increasing the efficiency or efficiency in terms of accuracy or time? Or
Both.
Both.
Yes. Accuracy is near 100%.
Yeah.
Time is reduced dramatically because less number of humans. The cost per pick or cost per put away is reduced. The only challenge is if you look at the OPEX side. But if you have CAPEX side, then you take a hit. Because the CAPEX is typically 15 crores, 20 crores for a 60,000 square feet.
So you
warehouse
amortize
or-
for, when you do your maths, you do it for 3 years amortization, 5 years or more?
We have to do it for 10 years.
10 years.
That's the catch. I think what happens is that contracts are 3 years. You want automation, but the automation CAPEX will give you viability if you go for 10, 15 years. That's how it
So
is.
that's a risk on your side. As a customer will
absolutely.
not give you 10 years.
But that's where the industry wants to bring the customers.
Nice.
All right. Guys, we are almost at the end, so I'll.
There's one question.
Oh, there's a question. Yes, please. We can hear you. Almost.
That's the first one, between tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. How's the growth panning out? And if we look at the different states in India, do you see that there is a more demand coming from a specific states and maybe a kind of a lesser one amongst the other ones? And from where the demands are higher, are there any, what could be the demographics and the consumer preference nuances which is leading to that? That is to the two. And I do have one more to Raj.
Okay, we'll first go with this.
Sure.
Okay.
So yeah, 60% of our sale comes from tier 2 and beyond. And for any e-commerce first brand, they will tell you that the growth sits in tier 2 and beyond. In a tier 1 city, you have a lot of avenues as a customer. You have malls, you have all possible brands available. You can really go to any brand outlet that you can think of. But if you're living out of a Haridwar, for example, one, you don't have brand outlets. And I grew up in Haridwar, that's why I've taken that example, that even when we were growing up, there was no lingerie shop there. Today also, there is a Clovia store, but there's only one more mom and pop store that keeps other brands of lingerie. So for them, the customer has no place to buy your product. So that's why I feel that tier 2 and tier 3 is where the demand sits.
It's the same for us. Tier 2 towns, we have around 60% of the sales or 65, and it's not about my website. I have stores in tier 2 towns. We have around 65 stores, kiosk, and the tier 2 stores are doing much better than Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai in terms of our return on investments, or EBITDA to the last level also. Those stores are doing very well. And as Soumya said, because in tier 1 markets, everyone has multiple avenues to spend rupees. If I give you 1,000 rupees right now, you have 10 options to do. But in a place like Haridwar or Bhopal, or there are options but limited options. And with this social media, those guys have also aspiration of what a tier one guy has. What aspiration I have, a similar guy, my age group, he has also has same aspirations about fashion, about food, everything. So that's why all you meet any of the new age brands, you'll see tier two, tier three sales are much higher.
Thanks. Just one last quote to Raj. And Raj, it's good to see a company which has got a profit as a DNA, right? But are they within a states? Are there any specific geographies where there could be, because of the infrastructure bottlenecks, you might be operating at a loss which gets compensated by the other sectors? For example, it could be a northeast or any other states.
So the pricing is done in such a way that the bottleneck or any aspect of additional cost is taken care. So that's how the pricing is done, which is always a variable. Second, in Indian market, actually, not many would know, but it's a spot market. The supply demand is never, in any industry also. Here, it's always what we call as a one-way market as far as logistics is concerned. So what we do is that we'll have to get a written knowledge factored into our entire working or do a one-way costing. So we typically don't end up any sector with a loss. Yes, a hub and spoke might end up that way because we're trying to create a delivery market in a particular new location. So case in the point, just to link up it tier two. Suppose you are going to the new areas, say Dholera or in Gujarat or interiors of Gujarat, you will have to initially suffer some losses because you're trying to build a delivery network. So those things happen, but it gets subsumed in the overall big picture.
Thank you.
Anyone questions? Yes. Behind you.
Yeah. So hi, Soumya. This my question is for you. Right now, first question is what is the average order value that Clovia sees, right? And second, the reason why I'm asking this question is that what we have observed is that increasing price points takes a big hit on scalability. What is your take on that? And has Clovia tried to do that? And what kind of hits they have seen when they try to increase the price point or introduced a high value product, not increasing the price point of the current products, but trying to sort of add a high value product and seeing how the customer responds?
Okay, so our average order value via our website is 1100, but via our stores is 2500. We have, Clovia has always been an affordable premium brand. That is to say, when you do price parameters and quality parameters, that will give you the best quality product, but at a slightly lower price point. So that, as a customer, your aspiration in terms of good product, good fashion is met, but you're not feeling the pressure on your pocket. The wallet share of your customer is very limited. So in that wallet share, you want to ensure that she buys maximum of your product instead of someone else's. And whenever we've done a price increase, we've done it very gradually. For example, on marketplaces, if I have to increase my price, it is a 3-month cycle. I will increase 5 rupee, 10 rupee, 20 rupee kind of a thing, which the customer doesn't notice, but at least you start getting that bit extra. And I do that only for my best sellers, because they have that price elasticity. And for website also, every time we do a, forced price change, which is massive in scale, then you have to give that gestation period to Meta to again start delivering sales to you.
Okay. One last question is that, in follow-up to that, what is the current split between performance revenue and the overall revenue? I mean, what percentage is performance marketing revenue?
So Clovia.com contributes to 40% of overall Clovia's business. And of that 40%, about 30% comes from performance.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Anyone else? Who's next? We have time for like maybe one more question, 2 more questions.
We can take one more question.
One more question, all right.
From the audience. Anyone, any questions?
Cool.
No, that's fine. If you would like to meet them offline, you can do that as well. All right, I think we have no questions. Thank you so much, panelists. Thank you so much for your time.